Hey guys, sorry, had a little interruption in the video again. I don't know what's going on. It's a bit annoying, but I'm trying to work with it. So I've done a bit more of work, but not much. I'm going to try to keep an eye on the recording. Hopefully this time it's going to go to the end, but I had so many bad experience with those recording lately. So what I like about those people of what I like about the skin tones on dark color people is that the colors are really beautiful. Like you have some pink, violet, green on their face, and that's really something I enjoy. There's so much more richness than wider skin. So the colors always depends on the reflection of the colors around. I might have to switch to even thinner brush. I should do that with my hair. It's why I'm wearing a cap, because I'm trying to grow up my hair. There's something really dumb about it, but I'm watching myself on the camera, and I've never been really too demanding about that, and I'm just like I'm thinking maybe I should have longer hair. Maybe it just doesn't work. I don't know. It's annoying. We live in Florida. It's just too hot. So if the camera stops, we might lose another 1 or 2 minutes of recording by the time I realize it stopped. As I say, it's really difficult what I'm trying to do. I've been working on that for a very long time now, because you see, I want to have here, I want you to have my palette, so you see what I'm doing. Otherwise it's kind of weird because I'm turning and you don't see what I'm doing. And I've tried to do that in many different ways. And so far this one seems to be the solution, but once again I have some technological issue where the camera stopped recording. Anyway, let's hope we're not going to have that frame this time. So Rashid Johnson is a great painter. We have one of his pieces at the local museum in West Palm Beach. It's pretty rare that you have pieces of young painters like this in small museum. I mean, the local museum is, I should not say small, because the curators and the director are going to be upset if they hear me saying that. But it used to be small, and now it's getting to a point where it's really cool. And it's a blessing for all of us, for all the community, because we have access to amazing art. And you know, I was talking about it in one of the videos before that Sally didn't record it. I came from a little town in France where we didn't have any museum, and it's difficult to grow up in a place where you don't have access to all the culture available. Now, luckily, thanks to the internet and so on, we have much more possibility. But so you see what I'm doing, I'm mapping. So basically, still checking. Basically, I'm just trying to put the elements, not getting into any detail. I'm just trying to get the big architecture of his face. So basically, the eyes, where are the eyes? Where are the corner of his eyes regard to his nose? And so on. So all those elements are basically putting the face where it should be in the page, you know, the right occupation. So I'm also looking at what we call, I don't like to call that negative space, because they're not negative, but the empty spaces, that means those spaces around the painting help me to, around his face, help me to locate his face in the painting. You see, like for example, I feel like here I have too much volume on the painting, so I'm just adding some white to reduce the volume of his head. So it's a dance between the inside and the outside. What I like about that dance is that, you see, like for example, right now I'm putting just a big chunk of yellow. Usually a painting like this will take me a couple of hours. I mean, if I want to do a really, photographic style, not photographic, but really, realistic painting, of course it's going to take me more time. But for this series, I just want to make something watchable, because if I start doing a painting for, I don't know, 10-15 hours, then I'm not sure you're going to watch the video to the end. So I just rather do something not as detailed. Now, that said, I will do surely some video that are more, going further for, I won't call it masterclass, but for more people who are more interested in getting a bit further into the process. So it's really important to be able to move things all the time, because nothing is engraved into the marble in a painting. Everything is approximative. All the dimensions, everything needs to be, I need to be able to just say, you know what, this eye might be a little bit more on the left, more on the right, blah, blah, blah. So what I'm doing right now is just indication, knowing that I might have to change all that. The other thing is that's just the first stage. So usually I do that, and once the paper is completely covered, and once I feel like I can't work anymore because it's too fresh, then I will just stop painting and do it. I mean, come back on the painting tomorrow or whenever. It can be tomorrow or in a couple of days. So the reflection of the light on his skin can be really tricky. Like, for example, here I see it more as a pink. Sometimes it's more violet, sometimes it's more orange, sometimes it's more yellow, of course. And it's something we see, of course, with people with a lighter skin. But for dark skin, it's fascinating. The colors are just so magnificent, because they're real colors. If I was doing that with a more light skin person, there's a lot of chance that those colors would not be as saturated. And now it's all going to be a game of, where is where. Like, for example, you see if I have the mustache here, the nostril is actually here, so much lower than what I put at the beginning. And the little light on the nose, it's almost like there's a triangle like this, so it's somewhere here. There's a little light here. I did a portrait long time ago of Kobe Bryant, and it was a pretty, I mean, it was a story, but anyway. And I feel his eyes are a little bit, they remind me of the one of Kobe. So I've done a portrait of Kobe when I was in LA. My son was a fan of the Lakers, and I've decided to do a painting of Kobe. And then one day a friend of mine came to my house, and he was working for Kobe. So he told me, he said, do you want me to show the painting to Kobe? And I said, yeah, I would love that. That's cool. So he took the painting, and I didn't hear back from him for like, Kobe was not coming to his office often, but eventually he did. And my friend called me and he said, oh, Kobe was just there and he looked at the painting and he loves it. And he asked, what do you want him to do with the painting? I mean, Kobe is not gonna, a lot of those celebrities are not gonna buy their painting. I think they see themselves enough on TV. They don't need to have another image of glorification and so on. Mostly Kobe. There's surely some artists who would not mind having a painting of them, but Kobe was not this type of guy from what I heard. And so my friend told me, if you want, he asked if he could sign the painting. And I said, oh yeah, I would love that. I would love to have a portrait of Kobe signed by Kobe. And so he told me, okay, next time he's at the office, I will ask him. And Kobe was this type of guy who would do it. And sadly, it was in 2008, 9, and the recession came, and my friend got, he was a young advisor in a big firm, and he was one of the first one to be thanked for his work, because the recession was not allowing the company to keep all their employees. So he lost his job, sadly. And so he told me, oh, I'm going to have to pass on this one. I won't see Kobe. And I said, okay, don't try. It's fine. It's fine. And so years and years went on. I moved away from LA. And years after, I met a great guy. He's a big baseball player. I've done the portrait of his kids. Really nice guy. And he's a really good friend with Kobe. And I talked to him and I said, I did the portrait of Kobe, and he was supposed to sign it and never did. And the guy told me, he said, bring me the painting and I will go see Kobe and I will ask him to do it. And I went back to Florida, planned a trip to LA, but I was not going that often. And sadly, I heard that Kobe would not be able to sign my painting ever again. And it was a really sad day, not for my painting, of course. I don't care about my painting. Okay, so the here, you see, if we look at the nose, for example, the here is just here. So always try to look at things regard to other things, it's going to really help you to just make sure, the things are in the right place. Knowing that it's pretty strange, but you also have to trust the viewer of your work. And people know that on the side of the face, on both sides, there's the ear. So you don't have to be too detailed about things like this. Okay, look, I was just looking at something. If I take the corner of his eye here, okay, where is it first? It's about here. Okay, it's about here. if I look at the eye of the ear, it's a bit lower, so actually the ear is more like this. And then his eye is more like this. As I say, he has eyes a little bit like cubby, like almond eyes. And it starts from here, and we have the same thing, it goes here, and it goes like this. You know, catching the character of the model is of course something really important. Like for example, for Rashid, I feel like his eye is, his gaze a little bit external. That means that I feel like it's almost like he has, and he doesn't have crossed eyes, don't make me wrong, but there's something about his eye that is really large. He has those really big eyebrow. I'm drinking my water. I think the computer got scared because I got a little bit upset with it shutting down, and it's not shutting down anymore, which is great. I'm gonna have to do some research to figure out why it can happen, so it doesn't happen anymore. He has this necklace. You don't have to be too detailed on necklaces and so on, you know, I mean, people know it's a necklace. I'm not going to get into really crazy details about that. No, just giving some indication like this, and that's pretty much all I need. So on this one, I feel I need to go really saturated. So that means that this orange needs to be really orange here. As I say, you know, the great thing about the skin color like this, it's really great because it really allows us to use some amazing colors. I mean, there's no way I can use an orange like this on someone who has light skin. You know, sometimes people ask me if I've done a lot of portraits of celebrities. The truth is, no. You know, I don't think celebrities really collect their own images. I'm not sure they want to have a portrait of themselves in their living room. By the way, most of the time we do portraits of the people we love or even ourselves, but it's not for us. You know, it's for the kids, it's for family, it's for... You know, sometimes I say to people, I said, would you like to have a portrait of your mother when she was in her 30s, when you were young? And most of people say, oh yes, I would love it. Yeah, but your mother should have done it. And people don't necessarily want to have a portrait of themselves. So it's why I explain, it's not about you. It's about your loved one. It's about your kids. It's about, people behind you who want to remember you. Mostly now with all those, all the cameras we have, all the phones and so on, we have hundreds of photos of ourselves and we don't look at them. A long time ago we were printing some of them to put on the nightstand or in the living room and so on. Now we just don't do that much anymore. So you see, I'm just keeping on mapping. I might stop this one pretty soon. Let it sit for the night. Several reasons for that. First reason is because my paintings start being a bit muddy, like I have a lot of matter on it, so now when I paint it's remixed with what's underneath. And sometimes it's just good to walk away, so when we come back we see better what we're doing. I overdid the space between his eyes, I know. I will fix that, of course. For now I want to keep it this way because I want to remember that's something important for the painting. All that will have to be rethink, really redone. Like for example, the eyes is more here, so the corner of his eye is actually here. So I need to change that. The eye might be more here. But of course, in order to move something, it needs to be there at some point. So his eyes might be even higher. I might have put them too low. But once again, it's as I say, it's about fixing things and making sure that we put them at the right place. So But I think it's a pretty interesting beginning. So I'm going to stop it here for now. Because as I say, you know, the painting is the painting now needs to dry a little bit, and so I can come back tomorrow and you know, fix things and redefine things. Like I feel I need a bit more of here it's a bit larger. Here there's this beautiful green here. So when I say green, I mean greener. But you know, it's a matter of decision as well. It's about it's a relationship between colors. So green doesn't mean it's green, it means it's greener. But it's beautiful to see the green, and even if once again it has to be you know, more subtle and so on. Okay, Rashid, I think I will see you tomorrow. For another dance. Okay, guys, you know, I can show you a little bit. So you see, it's of course there's a lot of work on it, but that's the goal. Okay, bye bye. Have a good evening. Hello, guys. Welcome back to the studio. Portrait of Rashid Johnson, great American painter, and I started yesterday, so I'm going to just keep on working on it. So at that point, I'm not really putting a lot of liquid in the colors, because you know, now it's just the color are going to pretty sink in pretty easily. So you know, when I was working on it, when I started, I told you one of the great things I love about painting dark-skinned people is that the colors of their skin is just so unbelievable. You know, there's so many more to it than white-skinned people. I mean, it depends. I think also it's a matter for me of, you know, painting all those variations and so on, that they're just great. I really love it. So as I'm starting again on that painting, I'm self-correcting myself from yesterday. So basically, it's also about verifying all the informations, you know, to make sure that I'm I'm fine with the lines and so on. The tough part about that as well is I need to redo my palette. So basically from yesterday I cleaned the palette so all the colors are gone. So I know some people, don't clean their palette and just work with the same palette and just add colors. I like to really go back to, a white palette. So my colors are pretty much displayed all the same all the time, so rainbow style. And as I said, each time I'm finishing in the evening, and even even often during a painting, I can also, clean the palette just to reset my mind. Because sometimes we use color not because we see them, just because we have them. So sometimes we mix a color on the palette and, we just want to use it. And it can be a little bit tricky, Like when you're a young painter, quite often, you want to use whatever you have out as colors. So when you end up the day and there's a bunch of color on your palette, mostly with acrylic. Oil painting doesn't dry that fast, but oil painting, when I was using acrylic a long time ago, I still use acrylic once in a while. So for me, oil painting has a quality about colors that don't change when they dry. While the problem with, to me, the problem with water-based technique is that when they dry, they change. Most of the time they become lighter. And for me, it's a problem. Because mostly for portrait and mostly for the style of painting I'm doing, I really need to make sure that my colors remain the same and that I have a full control over. I won't say full control because fully controlled colors is kind of difficult, but anyway, that I know what I'm going to get when they dry. As I say, I'm just correcting elements I've put yesterday. When I start painting, I usually was working in one session. So I was starting the painting and finishing the painting at once. And as I remember, most of my friends from art school, we are all doing the same. We had a pretty hard time to work for a very long time on a painting. I think it's also about the lack of certainty about what we are doing. So now for me it's just I can work on the painting for days and days. So if you feel like sometimes you lose the energy on the painting after a couple of hours, and then the next day you don't really want to work on it, there's nothing surprising about it. It just it's a little bit about the discipline of knowing what we're doing, and I guess having a vision on our works. So you see the tricky part, but that's beautiful, is that skin tone is actually, if you look at it, there's tons of colors and they're pretty saturated colors. You have violet, you have blues, you have pink. So you have the same thing for white skinned people, but it's not as dramatic as it is with someone who has dark skin. And I think the darker the skin is, and it's any kind of dark skin, either it's from people from India or from Asia, or from Africa, or for me it's always great because, as I say, there's all those colors that are just flamboyant. And it's funny because, we say, black skin, and there's absolutely nothing black about it. But I mean, we say white skin and there's nothing white about it either. And it's always a matter of judging a color with the other. So, like, for example, I started with this one and I thought it was a violet. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to put you closer. I put this one as a violet and now I see it as a green. So, which is pretty much the opposite. But sometimes, it's sometimes I need some comparison. Like putting the color on the painting to really see it. And you might be the same than me. Sometimes I have to put the color. I have to just put it up to realize that it's either too red, too blue, too, and therefore I can change the color, but based on its environment. The reason why as well is because colors interact with their environment. Like the same color can be perceived. I mean, I'm sure you've seen that. Like, you put a color in the middle of other colors, and you feel it's just not the same. Because depending on what the color are surrounded by, they can really feel to our eyes different. So I have a little bit of it's not a big issue, it's just what it is. So the black, it's exactly what I was saying about the water-based color, the oil-based color. Because it's painted on paper, the paper is absorbent. So now my black, you see, if I put a real black on it, it's just popping out. Not because it's darker, just because it makes the paper wet. So it's gonna sink in, it's gonna feel different after a couple of minutes. So I need to be a little bit aware of the fact that the color might change, because of course, if I'm just like if I want to match the color that I have in the background right now, that means I would make a lighter gray, and when it's going to dry, it's not going to match with the other color. So we need a little bit of awareness of the change of colors. I'm really impressed because I don't know how long I worked on this one yesterday, but there's not much to do. It's just I pretty nailed it really quickly. All I need to do mostly is just to smoothen the passage and to make sure that I'm kind of flawless. But pretty much the painting is pretty accurate. It also depends of the models, of course. Some people are easier to catch because they have some more simple features or something. It just, and sometimes, of course, it depends also of us. Someday we do something and it just there. I mean, we don't need to really struggle. Like, I know sometimes I come to the studio and I'm going to spend 1 or 2 hours and everything I'm doing doesn't work. But I cannot really. The best thing to do in that case would maybe to just go back home and watch TV or something. The thing is that there's no rules. So sometimes you start a painting and it feels like everything is off and it's just not good and so on. And you might do a great painting. So there's no really rules. What I would say is usually men are easier to paint than women, for the reason that men's features are more forgivable. Of course, the most difficult thing being the kids, because the kids, you don't have a lot of room to. They have a tiny nose. They have. They have tiny features. And babies are surely one of the most difficult things to paint because there's not much character to really play with. I mean, they have a teeny nose, they have teeny mouth. Nothing is really formed. So if you want to do the portrait of someone's children, you have to be aware that it's one of the most difficult things to do. And of course, it's one of the most demanded things. Like a lot of people commission me to do the portrait of their kids. So, we can. So you see, I usually don't start with a drawing. I mean, when I'm talking about the drawing, I'm talking about monochromatic drawing, charcoal, whatever the graphite or whatever tool you're using. I'm usually always starting directly with painting. The reason for me is because, one of the main reasons is because a drawing is a drawing and a painting is a painting, and they don't necessarily have anything to do with each other. It's different instruments. It's different understanding of colors, of what matter and what don't matter. So the risk for me is to do a colored drawing. A colored drawing is not a painting. And a painting, the drawing is not necessarily, I would not say important, because of course it's important, but so most of the time I don't draw. I mean, I do some drawing. I do some portrait, drawing portrait. We can do that someday. But as I say, for me, it's just a different way of thinking. It's a different way of seeing what we're doing. Definitely, a drawing doesn't allow you, like a painting, to paint over again and again and again. You know, the drawing usually is like a construction. It's just like a, you know, you build something, but I feel like in a painting you have more, you know, it's more easy to modify things and so on. In a drawing, if you, I mean, literally you're not supposed to do anything wrong in a drawing, because you're taking your time and you're building the likeness and so on. So and I really love to draw. But definitely it's not the same way to work. I will do some videos of drawing, like you know, charcoal or something, of a portrait. My gosh, the colors are pretty insane. There's a lot of red, of oranges, and they're actually really saturated. Let's move to a smaller brush a little bit, because I need to get into some details. like the eyes, the white of the eyes. So you can insulate mentally completely the shape of those little triangle, light triangle, and so look at how they look in the top, from the top, the bottom, and so on. Like you can tell this one is way too small. You know, I'm just using a light green for now, but of course it's much more rich in colors than just, you know, green. So I'm gonna have to, you know, get into more colors. And for that I will use, I will show you, but I will use some technique of, you know, I'm using some dots, because now I'm at the point where if I do something too strong, of course it's gonna jump out right away. Like you see as that light here. And I see it a little bit as a pink. It's a pretty light pink. So you see what I'm doing right now. I'm not using the brush like this. I'm just tapping gently. At least for that. Now I'm back to something more brushed. There's some little light here. Something here. The tough part of this portrait is that some colors like this, for example, like the one I'm putting right now, it seems pretty dark, but on the other hand, it's really light. It's really orange. And here as well, you know, there's some darkness, but the color is still saturated. So I need to go from here and do a gentle brushing to make the passage between that green to that orange. And I can use my finger to blend it a little bit. So I done the portrait of Gerhard Richter earlier, and you know, I said that I didn't want it to do the little light in the eye, you know, the little sparkling white spot. On his portrait, it's essential. That's going to be his whole eye are alive because of that little light. At least on that photo, of course. He has a thin line in his mouth, so I just define the lips. As I said yesterday, he has something in his eye that really reminds me of Kobe Bryant. Okay, let's try to do that little light in his eyes, because I'm wondering if it's not just that's gonna give, but it's not a teeny detail, it's powerful. You see, I put the mouse a bit too high. I need to lower it just a tiny bit. I feel like the moustache is more green here. You see, that's what I'm saying when I said sometimes you can make a contrast with black on, like a darker color, or you can make the same contrast. It's actually working even better. It's even more beautiful to do it with the complementary color. So now that green is interacting with the general colors of the face, and it's great because it gives me an extra tool, an extra advantage, kind of, like I can not only play with white and dark, but also with cold and warm. Yeah, let's try that little light. I want to give it a try because I feel a little bit like, and you see how these lips are really pink. They're beautiful. Those colors are just like stunning. Okay, let's try. So I'm gonna make it pink. I already explained I never do the white in the eyes with white because I think it's just almost like a lack of decision. So I'm gonna make some pink. Maybe even a bit lighter. It's too big. I have to make it a bit smaller. Okay, I think this one is good. But this one is really tiny, so I'm just gonna have to. Okay. I think I make the eyelashes a bit too large, so we're just gonna make them a bit smaller. And it's falling faster here. I feel I need a little bit more space here. Not much. So same thing for this one. I'm just gonna go tapping because I don't want to ruin everything. I think this one needs to be a bit more like this as well. It's definitely a bit smaller here. That's a bit shorter. I think that's a bit lighter here. That zone here is too dark, so I'm going to lighten it a little tiny bit. And then I feel like it's going more like this. There's something on the nose that I didn't do right. The nose is going more like this. It's almost like a little round nose. Okay. Messed it up. Okay, I'm gonna take my little mirror and look at the portrait through the mirror and see if I have anything I can notice that's really bugging me. Otherwise, I'm pretty done with it. Okay, let's see. It's not that bad. I see a couple of things that bugs me a little bit, like I think this side is a little bit too light. I want to make it a bit darker. I feel like I need a bit more here and maybe a bit more here as well. So we have more, a little tiny bit more contrast. I don't want to do too much either because I don't want to go on the other side of the heel. I think I've made his eyes a bit too dark, so I'm just going to try to lighten them up a little bit with some orange. I think I did, it's good. Yeah, and I think there's one thing here as well. You see, it's never-ending story. We just stop at some point because we get either too tired or too fed up. But on a portrait like this, I could work for many hours. And there's just a tiny bit of lighter color in his mustache, just there. That's just gonna give it a little bit of volume and light into it. Same thing here, I need to add a tiny bit of... Okay, I think I'm... a little bit of passage with his hair here, so... I mean, that's pretty harsh, but okay, let's do it. When I see something, the problem is it's not going to get better. It's not like I'm going to stop seeing it. It just, usually it's the way around. I'm seeing it more and more. So I'd rather do something about it than regret it in a couple of weeks. It's difficult for me to work on a painting, like for example, like a month after, or I mean a month is okay, but not more than a month. Usually I'm kind of, I kind of lose the vibe after a while if I don't work on it. Okay. So now you know the little thing. I'm taking off the tape. So this is the painting of Rashid. Okay guys, see you soon. Bye bye.